3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and welcome back to another Magic video. And Hasbro can't go more than like a few weeks without just doing something really bad and irreparable to WotC and the Magic the Gathering IP and the player base as a whole. And we're going to get into it here shortly. But of course, if you are interested in videos like this and the modern and pioneer format, where I do a lot of competitive videos and things like that, if that interests you, please consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. Of course, I also have a link in the description down below to my Discord server. Feel free to go over there, join there, and we can talk about Magic and really anything else that's on your mind. I just really love talking about the game. And finally, we have the Casual Spikes podcast that goes up every Saturday, where me and my co-host Randy are going to be talking about RC Denver, the regional championship that went on in Canada, going over the top 16 from both events, kind of the metagame breakdowns and things like that. So just going pretty in-depth. If that interests you, subscribe to the channel so you can catch those episodes as well. So, wow, that's a lot. I need to get this weight off my chest. So this is definitely going to be more of a rambling video than my usual videos are. So, queue up for your, competitive game of League of Legends, put your Tostitos pizza rolls in the oven or, in the microwave like a heathen, and just kind of sit back and listen to the smooth beats of me talking in a relatively monotone voice about how Hasbro sucks, which, I think everyone kind of needs at this point. So, just in the last few months, we'll kind of circle back to like 2023, I guess, where over the span of 2023, Hasbro has laid off 2,000 people in total from its company, with the last round coming right before Christmas because they all have to be, greedy Grinches, and end up, laying off a lot of the Wizards staff, and like the play design team, the play test team, a lot of like the studio workers and stuff that worked on Baldur's Gate 3, which was at worst probably top 3 video game release last year. And like was the topic of discussion really for how games should be made for, the entirety of like 2023, like since its release. Like it's just absolutely insane how critically acclaimed like that game was, how much growth Magic the Gathering has as a game period in terms of like profits, and of course like the amount of players playing it. And Hasbro's like, yeah, like you're the only thing that is making us money. Like, we would literally be living in cardboard boxes, like in an underpass in like Kentucky, if it wasn't for you guys, But we're going to cut your workforce, pretty deep as like a punishment for everyone else kind of like failing to do what they need to do. Turns out Monopoly and Connect 4 are just not, they're not selling it, kids. Like, nobody's buying it. But what they are buying is they're going into their, their mom's purse, pulling out $20 and going and buying a collector's booster pack to hopefully make the money back and, put the $20 back in mom's purse, and then also have some cool cards to kind of show off to their friends, whatever. But in reality of all of it, between like the layoffs, the fact that Hasbro is a big dumpster fire, the next big piece of news that they decide to drop comes from the CEO, where he says, we want more Lord of the Rings sized sets. And so we're going to have 2 of them every year going into 2025. Now, I don't know if this is like a fever dream or not, if I made this up or whatever, but I'm pretty sure I had saw an article somewhere where the CEO of Hasbro was getting kind of investigated, or like there was like a warning that like, hey, you're essentially like in trying to milk this product even more because it's profitable, and then just continuing to push more of it because that's just what businesses do. As soon as like they see a trend that people like, things people want, they try to give them more of it, which I think, depending on like the context, is good or a bad thing. And this, when people are already complaining about product fatigue, is probably a bad thing. I don't think you need to be a business major or, be a CEO or anything like that to, think that like, oh, hey, if the majority of the player base is already complaining that they have 68 copies of this Fortnite island that's just going to come in everything, like, we probably don't need the 69th one. We could probably just do away with that. We probably don't need a secret layer super drop like every month. Again, like some exaggeration, because I always feel like that there's just something going on. I always feel like there's a secret layer drop. There's always a Universes Beyond. There's always Commander product. There's always spoilers for the standard set. There's always spoilers for the straight to modern sets. There's just a lot. And really, it's just kind of a deep breath moment where it's like, okay, what are we going to get into today? What is going to happen? What Magic the Gathering product is going to come out? This is just in the physical, too. There's also the digital releases. I don't know if they necessarily do it now, but I mean, of course, there's cards continuing to go to Arena to get Explorer up to what the Pioneer format is now. Of course, with the idea that eventually Magic Arena could also have Modern on it, which probably isn't going to happen, but, they're already starting to get, the Tales of the Middle-earth stuff, on it. I mean, they already have it on there. But, that's, again, kind of my point, is that there's just so much. And if you want players to obviously to spend as much money as possible, you want every single person that plays the game or even knows the word Magic the Gathering to buy, a case of, booster boxes of whatever the latest set is that come out. You want them to buy the entire store out of all the Commander product. You want them to buy every single secret layer drop and everything. And, without being that dramatic, I mean, it's very hard to expect even someone who plays the game casually, plays with their friends and everything, to want to continue to buy, a major product, every month. And sure, it's fine when from time to time you charge when they were charging $30, $40 for Commander precons. I remember being able to go to my LGS, old man me here, when Dominaria came out, I think in the mid to late 2010s, I remember pre-release, pre-order for boxes were I think either $99.99 or $105, $100 to $105. That's insane. And I see people selling boxes of Murders at Karlov Manor as overstock already. The set came out 10 seconds ago. It just dropped basically. And that's the prices that you're getting them at, is even either close to or a lot more expensive than that price. Of course, there's tons of economic factors and really all the political stuff. That's boring. All right, that's boring. I just want to be mad at the internet today. Okay. So, with all that said, virtually a failing company. Hasbro is huge for a reason, but when every other department's failing and you only have one bright spot and someone already tried to convince you to take that away from you, you're probably not doing something all that good. And it's crazy to think that, you laid off 2,000 people and you still got an almost $10 million bonus to virtually just lose every other battle except for, this TCG that you are going to potentially run into the ground with all of these crossover products and everything going on. So, wow. Yeah, I'm rarely at a loss for words, guys. I am so much not necessarily an opinionated person. I mean, I do have a lot of opinions, but I'm such a person that is so passionate about the things that I love. And, Magic has been one of those things that I was I'm going to learn how to play it. What could it hurt? I kind of like that, fantasy element and things like that. And it has engrossed me for, going on 10 plus years. I know my whole YouTube channel is based on, playing the competitive formats that I love and talking about it and giving advice and everything. And of course, doing videos like this where, I kind of give my opinions on the state of the game, what the company's doing, future sets being released, whatever. And while I've staunchly defended Universes Beyond, I think that, crossovers are just overpowered, period. Since the beginning of time, people wanted, crossovers. They wanted more of the products that they mixed in with other products that they like. And that's just how it is. We've been doing it for years where we put freaking SpongeBob on the front of, Kraft mac and cheese and kids just eat it. They love it. Oh, I already like mac and cheese. I love SpongeBob. Well, now I get to eat SpongeBob-shaped mac and cheese for lunch every day. That's awesome. And that's kind of what Wizards is trying, or rather what Hasbro is trying to do, not Wizards. I don't think they really have a say in the matter. other than just saying, you know what, the people that work in there, they're not going to do their job. But, they're trying to put SpongeBob into the mac and cheese. It's like, okay, well, now SpongeBob's maybe not that popular, or, we've already done this how long? It's like, let's add a new shape to it. And they just expect people to buy it up, and people are still doing it. People are still buying, they're making maybe not record profits. It probably is. I mean, they just keep, raising the bar higher and higher for themselves, especially now that they have a much smaller workforce than they did, even 6 months ago. And it's just trending towards the way of like the Magic the Gathering itself. Obviously the main thing about Magic the Gathering is, of course, the gathering. Getting with your friends, whether it's, it's a weeknight, weekend, you're going to a tournament, whatever. The camaraderie that you build kind of like as a community, whether at your own LGS, whether it's just like in your friend group that you already had, and maybe you guys get into the game together. And now every Friday night, y'all meet up in a basement and eat snacks, BS, and talk, just play the game and everything and have a lot of fun. However you enjoy the game is amazing, and you should continue to enjoy it that way. And really, stuff like this shouldn't affect it that much. But when it kind of goes broader than just getting to enjoy the game, because obviously I want to enjoy the game, but then also the game itself expands and we get newer players in the game. And even just from me being the competitive player that I am, just having more people into the game, more people playing, bigger tournaments, bigger prize payouts, more attention on the product, which then continues to get other players in and kind of aspire some of those like competitive kind of feelings to kind of succeed at something. It's a crazy world out there, and Magic itself is kind of like the calm for it. It's like a way to escape. And as of now, it feels like their personal product is not the center of attention. It was fine with, Secret Lair drops when we had like the Walking Dead one that dropped. It's like, that's neat. That's really cool. Tales of the Middle Earth, that's, high fantasy and everything. Like that's, that is at least like in the realm of Magic the Gathering, where like this is not like a real thing. And like there's just like kind of this mini pocket universe or whatever that like Lord of the Rings exists, and there's all these cool cards, and we actually get to play with them, and they're legal cards in, sanctioned tournaments. But then when you try to push that product even more, all of a sudden Magic the Gathering isn't Jace, Teferi. It's not, Chandra and Liliana and, Nissa and things like that. It's now, Marvel characters. It's now Fortnite characters. It's now just anything else. It's anything but that. And that's kind of like the magic, I think, in Magic the Gathering. There's this story, this narrative that's been built over years and years and years. And at the end of the day, big corporations don't care necessarily about tradition. Now, obviously there's some that care about traditions, but they're kind of like in the, like why would this be the thing that we continue as a tradition versus, other good that could be put out into the world. But ultimately Hasbro doesn't care about, the tradition. It's the dollar signs. That's how businesses make money. That's how we continue to have things, is like when they're profitable, things are good. In Hasbro's special case, everything else sucks about their company except for the Magic the Gathering, their digital gaming and everything. And they just, like, we need more of this because we need to supplement the other stuff instead of trying to fix the other stuff or move away from it entirely, which means, more people lose their jobs, which means there's less playtesting, there's less people to design cards. Designs potentially get lazy, designs get easily overpowered, and, we just have tons and tons of changes we have to make. And really, probably for the first time ever, like I'm giving Wizards like their kind of props, because with the amount of product that they've been kind of forced to push out, and the changing of standard like rotations and everything like that, and everything that's kind of going on, they've done a really, really, really good job of scaling things and just like they're pushing the envelope. They're making cards better. You're like tier 2 deck in Modern, or your tier 2 deck that you play like casually in your friend group, pushed out by power creep because there's all these banger sets that are coming out. They are doing their job, and every set that they put out is awesome. I can't really think of some stinkers that like especially stick out as like this was bad, besides Aftermath, of course. Like the War Aftermath or whatever the heck it was, like I don't even remember what it is because it was pretty bad, and with all that, like they're doing a great job. It's the people above them that are going to end up killing the game. We're not pushing out so much product and all the product's bad and nobody wants to buy it, and then now like Hasbro just like completely cuts them off, whatever, from the successful company. It's the inverse. We have something that is so successful, so enfranchised, and not just, TCGs, but just in, nerd culture, geek culture, whatever you want to call it, just in kind of this like sphere where people are into like the sci-fi and the fantasy and everything, and just it's bigger than I think most people are willing to give it credit. I think it's like the game that people kind of point to when you see games that are fun, but there's like a level of complexity. It kind of like reminds me of Pokemon in the way where at the base level, like a 4-year-old can enjoy it. They can do whatever, and like they can still beat the game. They can still enjoy the story or whatever story they can understand, what have you. And, as you get older, you're like, wow, there's so many hidden things that I didn't even realize that just happen in the background and that you can utilize. And then it makes your experience more enjoyable the more you're willing to get into it. And they are trying to make it so more people get into it with these crossovers. Great, wonderful. Having it be the majority of your product, or feel like it's the majority of your product, feels kind of like a slight to the people that have been around for years and years. And I think they do it because they assume that those players will just continue to be around, that like they're too deep into it, and ironically enough, where Hasbro should probably cut their losses, they're doubling down on things that they really shouldn't double down on. And then you have people they're like, well, these people are just going to continue to double down, pay, and, they're never going to get out of it. And the thing is, like, you kind of just underestimate, like, what players are willing to do. Like, if they're just willing to leave, just say, you know what, okay, like, if you're going to continue to release a product every 2 weeks that I can't keep up with, I'm going to go do something else. And I know people who have essentially quit playing the game. Like, they don't go out of their way to get new cards. They don't buy new product. They just they have what they have. They're like, if I need to play with whatever, like I'll get it when I need it, but I'm not actively seeking it out. I'm not actively getting it, so I don't care. And that's just a shame. It's really a shame when players would rather go and do something else, walk away from something they've spent over a decade plus, and they're just leaving because like it's them or us, and they're just choosing like, what, I'm going to save my sanity. So overall, the downfall of Magic the Gathering, or the potential downfall of the game, is not going to be the people that make it. It's not going to be the people that test it. It's not going to be the shippers. It's not going to be any of those people. It's going to be the person and the group of people at the very top that will just absolutely push and push and push and push till it snaps in half and ends up 6 feet buried. I really hope that doesn't happen. I hope that either Hasbro figures out that this is not going to be a sustainable long-term plan, and they are either forced to let go of it, or they change direction, they figure something out. But I think with where it's going, I don't think that's going to happen. And unfortunately, we're seeing the game change, and I think for the first time we're seeing it change in a way that isn't positive. I think it's changing, I think, for the worst. And those are my thoughts. That's my thoughts on Hasbro, my thoughts on the game, like the state of the game and how things are going to be going forward. Long-winded rant, I told you. I can kind of talk. I just kind of go crazy sometimes, and I need to get things off my chest. Like I love the game. I'm going to continue to cover the game. I'm going to continue to do everything that I possibly can to bring you the best, competitive content that I can bring with my limitations and everything. And, I hope that, if you stuck around this long, that you subscribe to the channel, you kind of hang out with me, kind of follow us on this journey to, trying to build something special and try to be a person in the community that people want to talk to and hang out and what have you. So if that's something that interests you, or you just like my content, whatever it is, again, thank you for watching. Please consider leaving the like on the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. Check out the Casual Spikes podcast. Check out the Discord server, all that stuff. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all enjoy the video, and I'll see y'all later.